Okay, my name's Keith Galosi, and I work for Nvidia in our developer technology team. And so essentially, our job is to help the developer community take best advantage of our hardware. In some cases, the APIs. In GeForce, for many years, it's been about performance optimization, new special effects. With mobile, it's a bit more involved because the chips we're building are full computers, full systems, and so our team helps not only with Android, but also with power and performance and features as well. Today I'm going to talk about Android. With Unity developers in particular, and also with the relationships we have on the PC side and with console developers, we spend a lot of our time at Nvidia evangelizing. Sorry, I'm not sure what that happened. We spend a lot of our time evangelizing the Android platform because that's where a lot of our mobile Tegra chips are shipping today. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about why you should consider working with us at Nvidia, working with Google on Android, and bringing your games over to this platform. There's a lot of exciting things going on. We understand that people are shipping on consoles and PC and iOS today, but this is a really compelling platform as well. So I'm not going to talk a lot about why Android. I'm going to give you more of an overview of kind of where things are at with Tegra, what NVIDIA has been up to. Why is this thing? I might have it on a timer, but I'll have to monitor this thing. But so essentially, what the heck is going on? I don't know how to do this. Am I on timer? Playing? No timings. Just give me a basic from current slide. Okay. So yesterday, there's a statistic that the Android growth, I think everybody's heard how well Android has been doing. It's been gaining a tremendous amount of market share. As of yesterday, smartphone market share in the US is up to 43%. I mean, that compares to 26% for iOS. So there is an opportunity there. And in addition, when I start talking about, or when I bring you up to speed on kind of what we've been doing on Tegra, there's a lot of really interesting devices. So there's no question the iOS devices are compelling. They've got a great app store. There's a lot going on there. But there's a tremendous amount of innovation happening in Android too. So the screens have high-resolution displays. They're not just basic phones anymore. They're adding keyboard attachments. They all have HDMI ports. You can connect external game controllers. And a lot of our customers are innovating on the industrial design. So there are tablets that are coming out with 7-inch displays, 10-inch displays, high resolution, 1280 by 720. They're in both 10-inch and 7-inch form factors. And then from an Android standpoint, it has been evolving and improving very quickly. So I don't know if for many of you have worked with some of the earlier versions, but in the case of Honeycomb and then the forthcoming release, from a developer platform, has improved a lot. Originally, you had to write a lot of Java code, and then more recently, you can take your native C++ engines and bring them over. So Android has improved a lot as well. And then from an industrial design standpoint, there's just a lot of choices. And so the tablet sales are taking off. There's a lot of choices that customers have. And so in the case of, Sony's announced a dual display device. One of the things that we'd like you to think about when bringing your games over is it's not just about phone 5-minute casual games anymore. I mean, those are going to dominate phones in particular, but the form factors are changing too. So we've got tablets where we can see that people are spending more time playing more sophisticated games. And then in the next year, you're going to start seeing people taking advantage of the HDMI ports and the game controller support that Google added in Honeycomb 3.1. So they'll begin to connect their mobile devices to the TV, sit back on the couch, and then I would expect at that point you can start looking at playing even more sophisticated games. And that's kind of what we're saying. It's not just about the casual 5-minute experiences anymore. So from a NVIDIA standpoint, and this is true of the industry as a whole, we are moving very quickly. We have multiple parallel teams working on multiple chips at a time so that we can get significantly faster, more capable devices out each year. And so the products that are in the market today are based on our Tegra 2 product. It's a dual-core CPU, and those have been doing very, very well. But we're very close to shipping our next generation. We call it Project LL. We haven't announced a lot about it yet, simply because it hasn't started shipping yet. But I can say that it's a quad-core device. It's quite a bit faster than the previous generation, and we're very close to starting to ship those initial products. We're going to follow that each year by significantly faster, more capable products. One of the common questions I get when talking to game developers is, well, okay, I understand you guys are significantly increasing performance, but what is going to happen to my battery life? One of the things we did announce about the next Tegra chip called Project LL is that we're innovating not only in terms of making the chips more capable, but we are reducing power at the same time. We're doing things in terms of the process technology. So in the case of Project LL, we've added a 5th CPU core, so it's not even a quad core, it's a 5th CPU core. And what it does is it takes advantage of the fact that we can use process technology to make that 5th core lower power. And so when 80% of the time when a user is using their phone for messaging or simple tasks, or it's in standby in their pocket, this new, faster, more capable chip is going to use considerably less power in 80% common case. And so we're innovating that way in terms of the video capability is better and uses less power. The camera functionality is better and uses less power. And so you're going to see that as a trend. It's not safe to say that just because the chips are getting more capable that they're going to burn your battery out more quickly. So from a graphics standpoint, I have to talk a little bit about graphics. The current capability that we have in all the devices that are shipping now from Nvidia, we've already surpassed the visual capability of an Xbox One. From a visual quality standpoint, we're basically at an Xbox 360 PS3 standpoint. And what I mean by that is the shader level and the quality of pixels that you can render. I'm not saying that you can render the same resolution. The Xbox and the PS3 can push a heck of a lot more pixels than we can. So if you want to do advanced lighting models on a tablet, for example, today on Tegra 2, you're going to have to render at a much lower resolution and then use the scale-up feature. But the point I would make is, looking out a couple of years, if you look at our roadmap, the disparity between the kinds of products from Nvidia that you plug into the wall and the things that we make that are going to be battery powered, there's going to be about a 10x delta. And I mean, if you look at the PC space today, the Nvidia products, you're looking at almost 100x. So one of the key messages I would give you is, I know, again, today, the mobile industry is exploding, crazy exciting. There's a lot of focus on casual gaming right now because of the form factors. But in the next couple of years, it's going to open up. And so there's going to be a lot of opportunities. So I'm going to switch gears and talk a little bit about what we can do at Nvidia to help you guys. So we put a lot of effort on our team. We've got a pretty big team. We work on tools, work closely with Google, we work closely with our OEMs. But our focus really is to create a hardware platform, both the retail ones, but also we do create dev kits. For example, the Project LL dev kits, I think we've got one out there that we're showing some of our developer tools on. We've been shipping those for quite a few months, engaging game developers early so that you guys can start building games that can be shipping at the time when the hardware hits the market. And we put a lot of effort into the tools, and a lot of the resources that we've been putting onto our developer side are based on feedback from the developer community. Android's SDK, it's quite good if you're writing Java and you're writing simple applications, but if you're writing a high-end 3D game that's using multiple megabytes of memory, then we've had to actually come in and help a bunch of the developers take full advantage of the platform. So one of the things that we want you to do is we want you to work closely with us. We're anxious to hear your feedback on the things that are working well for you on our platforms. And we want it to be as easy as possible. We want the cost of development of moving from iOS or moving from the console over to mobile to be as inexpensive as possible. So one of the things that we've done is we've created we call the Android development pack. And essentially what it does, it's supposed to set up, it allows, initially it was an Nvidia project for our own engineers, who would take a day or two to set up their development system for Android. They were coming over from Windows, they were coming over from Mac, and they needed to set up Android. So this is intended to help you set up your development environment as quickly as possible. We also have tools, documentation, the typical kind of things. I will admit that the majority of the work that we've done, a lot of the doc that we have, is absolutely focused on native gaming development. So as an example, some of these things don't necessarily apply if you're using the Unity engine. A lot of the code that we've written doesn't necessarily apply, but there are a handful of things that do. So from feedback from developers, we've got some papers up there that will help you understand how to deal with the Android lifecycle, in-app purchasing, Google Analytics. That's if you're writing your own engine. In the case of Unity, though, we have, you're making a game that's going to take advantage of 3D stereo. There's some devices that are shipping today. There will be more. External game controllers. So this is something that is supported in the new Unity engine, works on Android. We've got some guidance there because there are some things that you need to know in terms of supporting multiple controllers and making sure that the user experience is as streamlined as possible. And then one of the things that we do in helping our developers is we help them make money. One of the ways that we do that is through OEM bundling. And we've written some doc that will help you preload, and there's some technical details associated with that. From a tool standpoint, again, I think the HUDs that are provided in Unity are certainly the most useful for that engine. However, there are times when it is useful to Unity, it's useful to Nvidia, it's useful to some of the hardware guys to get lower level details. So we provide tools using Visual Studio and Eclipse for both debugging, profiling of both the CPU and the GPU. So we have multiple tools, obviously with at NVIDIA where we have a strong performance focus. We're showing our graphics profiling tool. You can and you should use the internal profiling tool within Unity. However, our tool will give you kind of a lower level view if you want to understand what's happening at the OpenGL driver level, if you want to see CPU time at the same time with the OpenGL driver level. That would be a time when a Unity developer would want to fire up our tool. One significant piece of advice I would give you with Unity is make sure that you're using the latest version. So Unity have done a tremendous amount of great optimization work over the last 6 months in particular in targeting both Android as well as targeting our multi-core CPUs and our graphics and the Android system in general. So if you're taking the mobile shaders have gotten a lot faster. If you're thinking of taking advantage of the substances, if you haven't seen those yet from Algorithmic, they're upstairs. You need to take a look at that. It's super cool. Our physics engine from Nvidia that is embedded within Unity, that's now taking advantage of multiple threads. Skinning, audio, all these things have been multi-threaded. So on our Tegra 2 where we have 2 cores, on the next generation where we have quad core, you'll see a significant performance improvement. And then I will also add, as you go from Gingerbread to Honeycomb, there have been some things that you'll want, there have been some optimizations and such that you'll definitely want to make sure that you have the latest version. Okay, that's from the development environment standpoint. Once you've decided you've got a game, and then it's time to market it. And so at NVIDIA, we have this thing called Tegra Zone. So once you've decided to engage with us, we will work with you on the marketing side as well. Our Tegra Zone it looks a little bit like a store. It's intended to be more like an end cap. So we're not bypassing the Google market. When you click on I want to buy, it will send you to the Google market, and that's where you'll make your purchase. This is very much a marketing vehicle. So what we do is we preload this on all the Tegra devices from our customer base, and then what we do is we highlight the absolute best games. So right now I think there are, I don't know how many thousands of games in the Android market. We have 20 that we're focusing on here today, and we're releasing about a couple per month. And that's intended to stay relatively the same. We're really focusing on a handful of our partners. So in addition to just being kind of a store, we also do, it's essentially kind of a, I don't want to call it a fanboy app, but that's kind of what it is. It's got interviews with you, the developers. We actually do take user comments, but we make sure that they're not 1 star because it's Friday. I mean, we do make sure that the comments do have some basis in reality. We do post the press reviews all in one place. It's actually a pretty cool app. If you haven't seen it, you should check it out. And it has been really successful. We've got a tremendous number of installs. One of the other things that we're trying to do with higher quality games that take advantage of higher quality hardware is we want to increase the ASP that you're charging for your games. So that's a big part of our focus too. That's one of the reasons we're not putting all games into Tegra Zone. We're actually focusing on games that can be sold at a higher price. So, and that's part of We want game budgets to be able to increase. We want the artwork in games to increase. So it's in NVIDIA's interest as a hardware vendor to help you guys keep your ASPs up. So an example of one of the ways we're doing that is you can have a standard version of the game that ships within the Android market and it supports all devices. But for the newer devices from Nvidia that have higher end graphics or additional cores, this is one of the ways. We're working with you to, okay, well, enhance the game in this way. You can sell the game within the Android market for $9, and then you can sell the enhanced version for $15, for example. And there's some examples. We've even worked with the guys at Half Brick on their Fruit Ninja game. The version that they shipped for iPad had very, very simplistic shapes. So, I mean, it was cartoony looking, but what the heck? Why not bump it up, make it look more interesting, and then we can feature it within our Tegra Zone and get some more attention for it. And we've done the same thing with the game Backbreaker. The original game was a bit simple. We worked with those guys to improve the frame rate. Once we got the frame rate up, then we worked with them on improving the visual effects. So we've also got a new program that we've launched on our developer site that's very much related to this and related to working with NVIDIA. We call it Zone In. It's a web link. It's a way of engaging. I know with everything going on between the forums and email and everything else, it can be sometimes hard to reach us at NVIDIA. This is one of the ways you can do it. So by going up to this site, you can post a version of your game that you'd like to work with us on, either technically, you're looking for our guidance from a technical standpoint, how to improve frame rate on our chips, special effects, or from a marketing standpoint. And so that is a huge focus for us is ensuring, a big part of what I started saying is we want you to bring your games over to Android. Well, in order for that to work and for the whole ecosystem, you guys need to make money. So that's a big part of why we're putting the marketing effort in. That's why we're helping on the press side and helping you guys get attention. It's really hard to get attention in the mobile space right now. And so I don't know, if you look at the Tegra commercials, the ones that have been showcasing Tegra products from Verizon and AT&T, you'll typically see the 20 or so games that we've been working on in those TV commercials, and you'll see a tremendous amount of press articles. So we're putting a lot of effort in this to try and help take the best games and make them noticed. So that is the majority of my pitch, and I know we've been running behind time. Were there any questions before I? Is
the presentation online somewhere?
This one is not. I just finished it. But I'd be happy to talk to you about that. I mean, is there any interest in me putting this online from others? Okay, I'll be happy to, yeah. Yes?
Do you see 3D becoming a major player in phones?
3D visuals or 3D stereo?
3D stereo.
There are a handful of phones that have shipped with stereo displays, and as an NVIDIA person, it would be wrong for me to say that I don't think that it's going to be awesome. But without a question, not all of them have been created equal so far. For example, at NVIDIA, we have a product called, on PC called 3D Vision. And I used to work at 3D Effects 10 years ago. And so stereoscopic 3D has been around for a number of years. But it was frankly only till a few years ago when NVIDIA came out with 3D Vision, where it's rendering at 120 frames a second on the big display, where I really started to buy into it. I think right now it's early, but I do believe actually that will be a segment of the market. Is it going to be as popular as phone games and casual games where it appeals to everybody? I don't know about that yet. I think the phone displays will have to improve a lot for that to happen. But maybe on a big screen TV, I know a lot of people are buying them at home. The phones do come with HDMI. Tablets come with HDMI. Yeah, I could see that happening. It is, if he said it, it's true. Now, yeah. I do not. It's honestly, I'm not familiar with that exact statement, but I can put some color on it. I think from a performance standpoint, we will get there. If not, Yeah, I mean, and then it depends on how you count performance and how you count cores. So one of the ways we count cores on Tegra, for example, is we don't just count the CPU cores, we count the GPU cores, we count, there's an ARM7 that's hooked up to our video hardware. So we count, the cores a little bit differently, first of all. And I don't know how important that part is. I think the performance part is important, and I do believe that within certainly 4 years, we'll hit that. Any other questions? All right, thank you for your time. I appreciate it.